Hey YouTube, Awesome Rider here. This is going to be my review for the ToQger Alter from Avataro Sentai DonBrothers. You can buy this on its own, or you can buy it in a set with the Don Momotaro Alter. This is the review for it individually. So you get this here, which is the Alter on its own in its sort of standard ToQger mode before you transform it. And it does come with this Alter gear right here, which is pretty snazzy. We'll take a look at it quick with the sounds and the changers. Okay. And you actually will get some unique blasting sounds from this. Or train blasting sounds, but not when you hold it down. Unfortunately, that sounds not much different than your standard ToQger gear. Alright, now that that's done, we can kind of take a look at this aesthetically. It's basically like getting a Ressha, and honestly, the design of it and the size of it aren't too far off from the Ressha's. If I had one on hand, I would totally compare it. Unfortunately, my ToQger stuff is in storage, but it's basically around the same size as that and the same kind of details. It's these two little cars that separate. This is kind of your main ToQger Ressha right here, which, you know, it looks fine. It kind of looks like the slightly cheaper version of a Ressha. You know, it's that same sort of cheaper feel. And then this one is kind of boring. It looks kind of just like a weird construction car. But, you know, I appreciate what they're going for. That's kind of my whole shtick with this, is I kind of appreciate what they're going for, but it's not all that exciting. But basically, you get kind of a little mini version of one of the vehicles from the previous series before it can transform with the Alter. Like Zyuohger's is going to be 3 little cube animals. But to get these guys ready to transform with Don Momotaro, all you do is you separate this here, pop this off here, and then you slide these forward like this. And then make sure it clicks, because if it doesn't click, it's not going to be able to go on all the way because it'll be flimsy. Same thing here, click. And then for this one, just separate this, and then these are going to become the little arms. Now for the Don Momotaro Alter, all you're going to do is you just take the arms off, and then these legs are going to spin around. I'll do that in just a second, though. I'm going to put the arms on first. These arms just go here like this, and then they open up like claw-like, and they can snap and stuff, and that's seconds of fun. Another one over here. Like so, and they're up. There you go. Now they're both open. Whee! And then for this, you're going to actually twist this around. Now I'm going to make sure these are plugged in because it's really loose. But twist this around and pull them this way. So the feet are facing backwards, all attractive like. And before I do that, though, I'm also going to snap this on here before I forget it. And then these pieces just snap on right under here. You'll see the peg hole, and you just kind of slide them on like little slippers, but on a nubbin. Past me almost forgot to mention that this little piece here is put on here and used so that you can place the ToQger gear here on the back, just like I showed in the regular Don Momotaro review, but I almost forgot to mention it, but it will be absent for the remainder of the final verdict because past me is an idiot. Alright, and here we have it, and it's something else. In a way, the way it sits kind of reminds me of the tank mode of the original Megazord from MMPR, but I don't know, guys. I'm not a huge fan of this, to be honest. I don't think it looks that great. It's not terrible, but for what they're going for, I think this could be so much more. I think this plays so much into what I've been talking about with some of the designs from this in Zenkaiger, where it feels half-baked. It feels like they just needed to get a function done. Like, okay, we want this mecha to combine with the ToQger mech, and then they just showed him the first sketch of like, oh, we'll just chop his arms off and replace it with trains. Like, good job, Wilson. By the way, Tom Hanks is looking for you. Like, it feels like they have a checklist of things they want to do, and as soon as they get it done, they just cross it off, and they don't try to make anything more intuitive. And it's like, I'm not a fan of the legacy designs being in the series. I think there's some potential good ideas here. I think if they just worked on it a little bit more, it could be something pretty cool, but this is just so half-baked. I think it could be so much neater. Like, honestly, it would probably be more expensive, or rather than have, like, an alter for the individual Sentai that you combine with Don Momotaro, I'd rather just have full-on alter bots for the other Sentai. Like, have a full-on Don Momotaro alter-like figure, but for ToQger and for Zyuohger, and it's kind of like a robot that has some of the design principles of DonBrothers combined with the past Sentai, and then you have a bunch of different robots that they can transform onto that are based on past Sentai rather than these little weird hodgepodges. It just feels so strange. Like you could have this really cool concept rather than something that feels like it's straight out of Sid's backyard. And not to mention, setting aside my thoughts on the design, because of how cheap these are, they're really flimsy. Like I mentioned in my review for Don Momotaro's Alter that he has really loose leg problems, and this does not help with that. Like transforming this guy is a pain in the you-know-what. It falls apart constantly. It just feels like a cheap mess. I know this is a cheaper line, and I don't really think the train is worth it for the money, to be honest. We'll see how the other ones go throughout, but otherwise I think this gimmick, for me personally, is a bit of a miss. I kind of respect what they're going for, and I think there's something cool here, but it really feels like an absolutely half-baked design. Not to mention, like I said, the general quality of the figure makes it feel like a cheap mess. Like if I were to pick this up, it's just gonna fall apart. See? So anyways, guys, that's about it for this one. Until next time, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell to get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.